The White House confirmed yesterday that President Trump is considering raising even more tariffs on China. Now that he's already begun to deliver on his promise to impose other tariffs, the question is, with Chinese retaliation against American imports, whether they help or hurt the U.S. economy. John Yang reports from southeast Missouri, where adjacent factories are going in different directions, and officials are pointing at the tariffs. It's part of our weekly series, Making Sense, which airs every Thursday on the NewsHour.
One of the production lines at Mid-Continent Steel and Wire in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. This is how the factory is supposed to look and sound. Machines humming, metal clanking, workers busy. They make more nails here than anywhere else in the United States. But walk across the street to another Mid-Continent building and the difference is stark. Chris Pratt is Mid-Continent's operations and general manager.
If we had been sitting here 6 months ago, what would this be like?
Noisy, full of people, activity, nails being produced, just what we wanted it to be.
That all stopped at 5 p.m. June 14th. 2 weeks earlier, Mid-Continent had raised prices to cover the cost of President Trump's 25% tariff on imported steel. But so far, there are no new tariffs on imported nails. So almost immediately, customers across America canceled orders, instead buying nails from overseas, especially China. George Scarich is vice president for sales.
We literally, in the second week, lost 50% of the orders that were currently on file. By the third week, the order file was literally off 70%.
So far, the company has eliminated about 100 of its 500 jobs. This line is already running at only 50% capacity. Machine operator Diane Brogdon has worked at Mid-Continent for 12 years.
The workers is paying the price now that's getting laid off and have to go find another jobs, and some of them won't be able to. Some of these people, this is the only income they got. Just like me, this is the only income I got, and I got to put another daughter through school. You know, it's going to be hard.
And company officials warn the tariffs' impact may force them to eliminate even more jobs.
It's picking winners and losers. And the losers are the end manufacturers of finished goods products. It doesn't seem right. I mean, if we're gonna make America great, let's make sure we make all America great.
Things keep going the way they're going now. What's the future?
Well, if they continued at what they're doing now, there is no future for this company.
And no future for Mid-Continent could spell trouble for this community. The county's unemployment rate is 6.6%, significantly higher than the Missouri rate of 3.5% and the 4% national rate. Phil Bennett repairs the machinery. He's worked at Mid-Continent for 4 years.
Are you worried about your job?
Absolutely.
How worried?
Waking up every morning with an empty feeling, not knowing if I'm going to walk in that door and say, hey, we're no longer in business.
That fear comes from a tariff President Trump says is needed to protect American jobs. This is a county where the president won almost 80% of the vote.
Yes, I still believe in what he's doing, and yes, if he runs again, I will vote for him again.
But do you feel like he's hurting the people who put him in?
He's not meaning to hurt the people, but in the long run, he is.
But drive about 60 miles east from Poplar Bluff, and it's a very different story. An aluminum smelter is reopening after it was closed in 2016 when the owners went bankrupt. So many people are applying for the new jobs that they're having trouble keeping up.
Magnitude 7 Metals sits on the banks of the Mississippi River in New Madrid County, Missouri. When the plant's previous owner, Noranda Aluminum, closed up shop, some 900 people lost their jobs. Local police and emergency service budgets were cut. The county schools took a hit.
This was like a desert on a night.
Steve Ruschi was one of 9 former Noranda employees who kept the facility in working condition, hoping it would reopen.
There was nothing going on here. There were actually wild animals running through here. Dark, cold, wet. Looked like a total loss.
Ruschi is now chief operating officer of Magnitude 7. The company bought the smelter, which produces raw aluminum, at a bankruptcy auction. CEO Bob Prusak said nearly all the other bidders wanted to sell it for scrap. He had a different plan.
We understand the commodity industry, the aluminum industry, is very volatile and cyclical. So we bought it honestly hoping that things would align in the future that would enable us to restart.
Prusak said President Trump's 10% tariff on imported aluminum was a key factor.
They were extremely important and are extremely important for us going forward. For aluminum producers, I like to say it puts us on a level playing field.
These machines restarted on June 13th. Magnitude 7 has hired about 300 people so far and plans to bring on around 200 more in the next year. They hope to have 2 of their 3 massive production lines back up and running by the end of December. The 2016 closing hit both the community and the workers hard, says Kathy Brown. She had been with the previous owner, Noranda, for almost 30 years. Her father and brother had also worked here.
That first week, it seemed like you were on vacation. After that, I'm not going to see these people again. The reality set in, that it actually was not open any longer.
But now she's back. She's constantly asked about jobs, even at the local Walmart. When the smelter closed, Matt Foster lost his job of 13 years. He was one of the first workers back. When he returned, his wife noticed something different about him.
I was humming to myself, packing my lunchbox. She said, and I'm not the humming type. And she said, "Are you over there humming?" I said, "Yeah, I am. I can't wait." And I said, if I ever complain about having to go to work, just kick me in the tail.
The president's been taking a victory lap on his tariffs, including a visit to a reopened steel mill in nearby Granite City, Illinois.
If you had a few minutes to talk to the president, based on your experience here, what would you say to him?
First and foremost, thank you very much, Mr. President. It was, honestly, for some people, not a popular decision what he made, but a big thank you. Like I said, it enables us to level the playing field.
In Poplar Bluff, Chris Pratt of Mid-Continent would have a different message.
I would like to sit down with him and explain to him exactly what's going on with our 500 jobs and our local economy, and ask him to do what he has the power to do, which is sign 24 exclusions that we need to save 500 jobs in Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
The company has asked the Commerce Department for those exclusions, arguing there's not enough domestic supply of the steel they need. Mid-Continent Vice President of Sales George Skerich.
Why would you be in such a hurry to do something that may have a positive impact on some, but a negative consequence on others, and maybe those unintended consequences might even be worse than what you're doing on the other side?
2 factories 60 miles apart, both affected by President Trump's tariffs. One a hive of activity, the other hoping it doesn't have to turn off the lights for good. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm John Yang in Southeast Missouri.